Hello, welcome to the print. I'm Amna Begum Ansari. The Waqf Act 2025 is one of the most debated topic in the recent years. Now, the Supreme Court's refusal to stay the Kerala High Court's restriction on the state Waqf board has brought the amendment law back into public debate. The court has not yet decided whether the board's composition is legal. The question will be answered later, but its refusal to interfere with Kerala High Court's interim order has ensured that the debate over the implementation of Amendment Waqf Act is far from over. The dispute is about the new requirement of two non-Muslim members in a Waqf board. The Kerala High Court found the issue serious enough to stop the board from taking major policy decisions until the final verdict. When the matter reached the Supreme Court, it left the part of High Court's order untouched. It removed only requirement that the board function under the supervision of senior state government official while allowing the other restriction to continue. The order has done little to settle the political debate. BJP sees it as the judiciary support of the amendment law, while the opposition points out that the Supreme Court has not yet ruled on the constitutional validity of the act. The problem is that every attempt to reform the Waqf administration, a question of governance, turns into a debate about identity. Muslim leadership, consisting of Ashraf elite, portray any changes to Waqf laws and as an attack on religious freedom or on the community itself. On the other hand, the BJP's political messaging gives the impression that Waqf board cannot be trusted to function on their own, requiring greater government oversight and the presence of non-Muslim member. I agree and understand that the need for government inside uh, should be there. It is necessary for every institution, not only for Waqf board, that check and balances are always on the place. But it's less obvious how statutory inclusion of non-Muslim member can achieve that objective. Neither approach really served the interests of ordinary Muslims. Instead of asking whether Waqf institutions are transparent and accountable, the debate reduces the matter to politics and identity. Waqf is one of Islam's oldest charitable traditions. Historically, Waqf endowments funded school, hospital, libraries, orphanage, water facilities, and relief for the poor. The idea was simple but noble: wealth dedicated permanently for public good. But noble intentions are not enough. In the 21st century, charitable institutions must also demonstrate result. Waqf properties are spread across every part of India and represent one of the country's largest collection of charitable assets. It raises an obvious question: if Waqf institution control India's third largest land, why does a large section of Muslim community continue to face poor educational, economic, and social outcome? Are Waqf properties being managed efficiently? Is there corruption or mismanagement? Are the assets generating the benefit they were intended to? These are questions that deserve honest answer, not an attack on Waqf as an institution. Charitable institution must be judged by how well they serve the people they were created to help. We need transparency and accountability from Waqf board. If an institution manages vast charitable assets meant to serve community, the community must be able to see how those assets are being managed. Millions of ordinary Muslims have the right to ask some basic questions. What income do Waqf properties generate every year? How much of the fund of that funds in scholarship, healthcare, widows, orphanages, or poor families? Which properties are under litigation? Which have been encroached upon, which leases were awarded transparently, and which were not. One of the changes introduced by amendment law is the proposal to centralize digital system to record and track Waqf properties. If implemented properly, it could make records easier to verify, reduce the scope of tampering, and give the public a clearer picture of what Waqf institution actually owns. Such a method should not be dismissed outright as a government interference. It can benefit ordinary Muslim by making charitable institutions accountable. But digitizing record will not solve the biggest problem, which is that 58% of Waqf properties remain tied up in legal dispute or are affected by encroachment. If the institution can't use more than half of their assets, improving record will achieve only so much. Resolving this dispute should be a priority. That's an area where the government has an important role to play. Faster dispute resolution, clearer land records, and effective enforcement would allow Waqf institution to accurately assess resources and the income they can realistically generate. Only then can the public fairly judge whether Waqf boards are managing assets well and fulfilling the charitable purpose for which they were intended to. Transparency does not just benefit the public, it also protects the institution. When records are open and accurate, there is a less room for rumors and speculation. It opens the space for healthier debate. Genuine achievements become visible, and allegation of mismanagement can be judged based on facts. Many Muslims see the requirement of appointing two non-Muslim members on a Waqf board as a part of BJP broader politics. These concerns deserve to be heard. But the irony is that the government is not acting outside the constitutional framework. The same constitutional space that Muslim religious leadership and many community elites have long relied on to argue for a separate legal arrangement is now being used by BJP to impose two non-community member only on Muslim charitable institution. So this uh, can be argued as a bigoted as well, because you are giving a message that non-Muslim member of the Waqf board can be trusted, but not the Muslim member, or what they're supposed to mean actually. The bitter truth is that if Waqf institutions had consistently demonstrated transparency, accountability, and effective management, the government wouldn't even need to step in. The future of Waqf board will depend not only on resisting changes imposed from outside, but also on showing that they can govern themselves in a way that earns the confidence of both the community and the wider public. Whether ordinary Muslim, especially the poor, are receiving the full benefit of those charitable assets in a real that is a real concern. To meet that goal, the Waqf must reform, or it may eventually perish.